On a day many recall as one of life's greatest joys, my most vivid recollection is of a stranger addressing over 200 guests at my grandchild's wedding, expressing a wish that my grandchildren wouldn't inherit my genes. The sting wasn't merely from the insult, but rather, it was the deafening silence from my own son that left the deepest wound. I am Robert Hale, aged 62, who spent most of my life as a mechanic in a humble auto shop on the town's outskirts. My job lacked glamour and prestige, but it ensured I could keep food on our table and primarily help raise my son Daniel. Daniel was the jewel of my existence. His mother left us when he was 8 years old, leaving only the two of us to navigate life's challenges together. I worked more hours than ever before, taking on double shifts, weekend repairs, and sometimes falling asleep in my chair before completing dinner due to exhaustion. Seeing Daniel's success made every sacrifice worthwhile. He was a prodigy in school, the type of child that sparked teachers' enthusiasm. Upon graduating high school, he secured a scholarship to one of the state's top universities. I can still recall the day he departed for college. He gave me a tight hug and said, "Dad, one day I'll make you proud." The truth was, I had been proud of him for years already. College transformed Daniel's life. He encountered diverse individuals from various backgrounds and opportunities. Among them was a girl named Claire. Claire was sharp, self-assured, and hailed from a wealthy family. Her father, Dr. Gregory Whitman, was a renowned city doctor, a cardiologist who owned several private clinics. The kind of man who wore bespoke suits and exuded the composed self-respect of someone accustomed to being respected everywhere he went. I met him only once before the wedding. The gathering was brief, cordial in appearance, yet there was an unspoken criticism in his gaze, reminiscent of how one might look at an unwittingly trodden object. Nevertheless, I brushed off this impression as the day wasn't about me. It was about Daniel and Claire. The nuptials transpired within a downtown luxury hotel. Chandeliers adorned with crystals hung from the ceiling, soft melodies echoed subtly through concealed speakers. Each table boasted an arrangement of white roses and silver candles, an ambience I had yet to encounter. My attire was modest, worn but well-pressed, and for a fleeting moment I felt out of sync amidst the designer gowns and costly timepieces. However, upon Daniel's sighting of my arrival, he beamed and embraced me. "Dad, I'm glad you're here," he expressed, and that single sentence was reassuring enough. The ceremony itself was touching. Claire glided down the aisle in an ethereal white gown. Daniel appeared anxious but joyful. Their exchange of vows brought tears to my eyes. Pride, not sorrow, the boy I had single-handedly nurtured was embarking on a new journey. Following the ceremony, attendees migrated to the ballroom for dinner. Speeches commenced shortly post-dessert. First up was the best man, followed by Claire's sister. A sense of warmth and festivity filled the air until Claire's father rose. Dr. Whitman tapped his glass gently with a spoon. Silence ensued. "I'd like to express my gratitude for your presence tonight," he started, his voice steady and assured. "Today is a day of great significance for our family." Polite clapping echoed. He proceeded, "Claire has always been surrounded by intellectually astute and successful individuals." A subtle ripple of laughter followed. "However, when she first shared the news about Daniel," he paused, looking around the room before focusing on me seated quietly at a corner table, "I found myself curious as to his origins." A few guests shifted uneasily. "After all," he concluded, offering a small smile, "a family's heritage is of importance." He mentioned being a doctor, implying his focus on genetics, causing the room to grow quiet. A statement followed that I'll always remember, hoping our potential grandchildren inherit Claire's genetic traits rather than those from the other side. This sparked some uneasy laughter throughout the ballroom. A sense of tightness gripped my chest, not from anger, but from a deeper emotion. 30 years of labor and self-denial seemed to crumble into a jest about inferior genetics. I glanced at Daniel, who appeared uncomfortable yet silent. No one else spoke. For an instant I contemplated rising, voicing my disapproval. However, an unexpected event occurred. A chair screeched across the floor. Claire had stood up. Her face was pale, but her voice was resolute. "Dad," she said, gaining everyone's attention. "That wasn't funny." Dr. Whitman blinked in surprise. "Claire, I was merely making a light-hearted—" "No," she interrupted. "You weren't." She turned to look at me directly. In the quietness, Robert had raised Daniel on his own following his spouse's demise. Throughout his life, he labored so Daniel could pursue medicine. Dr. Whitman's assuring grin vanished. As Claire persisted, "If our offspring inherit anything from Daniel's lineage," she hesitated. "I hope they inherit their father's resilience." The ballroom resonated with applause. People arose from their seats, some wiping away tears. Dr. Whitman remained silent, displaying uncertainty for the first time that evening. Later, when the music recommenced and the crowd relaxed once more, Daniel sought me out. He appeared ashamed. "I should have spoken up," he confessed softly. I placed my hand on his shoulder. "You don't need to defend me," I reassured him. "But your wife already did." Daniel offered a faint smile. Across the room, Claire was laughing with her companions, powerful, assured, a person who voices opinions when others remain silent. And in that instant, I understood something crucial. Perhaps I didn't stem from affluence. Perhaps my hands bore the signs of decades spent mending engines. Yet I had nurtured a son whose character enabled him to select a resilient partner and stand up for honesty. Truthfully, those were the hereditary traits I felt most important to transmit.